Okay, today I'm going to compare the rule sets, Old English pub rules versus blackball rules versus international rules. Let's get into it. Okay, let's begin with the break. Let's hit this pack. Okay, so off of the break, as you can see, we've potted one red ball. In old school English rules, this means that you have to take reds. You cannot be a different color. In blackball rules, it's still open table until your first legal pot. So potting a ball off the break is technically not classed as a legal pot. So if I then pot a ball now, that would be my color set. In international rules, the same rules still apply. It is still open table from this position. Let's move on. Okay, so what happens if you actually foul on the break? Too bad. As you can see, I've gone in off with the cue ball. So with the old school English rules, you would have cue ball anywhere in the bulk area, and you would have two shots that carry. I'll explain later on in the video what two shots carry mean. In blackball rules in this situation, you would also have cue ball in the bulk area. You would have your 1 free visit and then 1 visit afterwards to try and clear up. The idea is to try and release your bad balls and then take the finish out in 1 visit. In international rules, if you go in off with the cue ball, you get 1 shot only anywhere in the bulk area. But if you fly off the table in international rules, then you actually get 1 shot anywhere on the table. And that's very similar to the old world rules. Because when you was playing world rules before, if I went in off with the cue ball or got kicked in off, I would still only get 1 visit, which I think is really good. But if you fly off the table, it's classed as an extreme foul and you actually get 2 visits. Okay, what happens if you foul in the middle of a frame? If you foul in the middle of a frame using old school English pub rules, you would get 2 shots, ball anywhere in the bulk area, and 2 shots carry. What I mean by that is, let's just say I was yellows in this position. When I pop the yellow and I'm on my next yellow, I still have 2 shots from that position, 2 shots carried. If I then played this yellow, screwed down there, and potted that yellow, I would still have 2 shots that carry. You don't lose a visit unless you miss a shot. If you foul in the middle of a frame with blackball rules, you have ball anywhere in the bulk area, and you have 1 free shot and 1 visit. Again, very similar to the break. If you foul in blackball rules, your free shot ideally is to open the table up, and then you have 1 visit after that. So hypothetically, if I potted the yellow on my first visit on blackball rules, I would then only have 1 visit after that. The 2 shots do not carry. If you foul in the middle of a frame in international rules, you have cue ball in hand anywhere on the table and you have 1 visit only. You do not get 2 shots. So if I was on yellows in this position, I might choose to put my cue ball in the difficult area to try and get rid of my problem yellow. Okay, what happens when you play a push shot? Well, what is a push shot? A push shot is when the cue ball and the object ball are really close together and you get a double hit and they both follow through together like this. Now, there isn't a rule set in the UK that exists where a push shot is legal. I don't personally think there should be a rule set anywhere in the world where this is legal, but there are some games that say it's legal. Now, if you foul in old school pub rules, it'd be exactly the same as a normal foul. You would still get 2 shots that carry. And then, of course, the same with blackball rules, 2 shots, which is 1 free shot, 1 free visit. And then international rules would be 1 shot, ball in hand. If you've got a shot like this where there's a small gap between the balls and you want to play it into the pocket, then you have to shoot away from it. In this instance, they're actually touching, so you're not allowed to make contact with that red ball again, which means I actually have to shoot away from the red ball completely for it not to be a foul. Okay, so what happens if you play a skill or combination shot? Well, in old school pub rules, this is completely illegal. You cannot play a skill or combination shot in the old school pub rules. This would result in a foul. In fact, that would be loss of game, but normally it would be a foul and you would get 2 shots that carry. What happens if you play a skill shot or combination shot in blackball rules? Well, it's completely legal and you can do it either way. So you can play red onto black and it's completely legal if the red ball is your last ball. And if the black is your last ball and the pocket's covered by the red, you can also play black onto red. So both shots in blackball rules are completely legal. What happens if you play a skill or combination shot in international rules? Well, this shot here is illegal. You're not allowed to play your last ball onto the black in international rules when playing a combination shot. You're only allowed to play your black onto another ball. Okay, what happens if you're trying to play safe in the middle of a frame? Well, with old school pub rules, you can actually just do this. You can roll up behind your ball in the middle of a table. Now, of course, that doesn't take an awful lot of skill, but what does take a little bit more skill, maybe not this example as much, but with blackball rules and international rules, you have to hit a cushion after contact unless you're potting a ball. So if you're trying to play safe, I would have to hit the object ball first, then the cushion, then come back in behind the object ball. Okay, in old school pub rules, when you play onto the black ball, you have to nominate the pocket. I'll choose that pocket, please. In blackball rules and international rules, you do not have to nominate a pocket at all, which this means you are more open to potentially getting fluked against you. Let's move on. Okay, so what are the things that I like and dislike about each rule set? First of all, we're going to start off with old school English pub rules. I've got to be honest, there is not a lot about this rule set that I actually enjoy or like, and that's probably why I don't play this rule set anymore. It's probably why most of the country don't play this rule set anymore. There's probably only a small proportion of people that are actually playing this. If you are still playing old school rules, the old 2 shots carry, drop me a comment and let me know. It'd be interested to know how many people across the country are still playing this. So personally for me, the thing that I like about this rule set, and it's not specifically about the rules, it's mainly just about the fact that it's nostalgic. It's mainly about the fact that I grew up playing these rules. And quite simply, I found that 2 shots were always better than 1, and I always used to try and take advantage of that. I grew up on defense. I grew up on tactical play. I was never an aggressive player, so this rule set suited me. And this is kind of like my roots. This is what's built me into the player. These are the foundations. This is how I learned the chess side of the game. This is the foundations that built me into the player that I am today. So for that, I'm thankful for the rule set. In general, what are the things that I dislike about it? Why do I not like playing it anymore? Well, I don't like the fact that you can just roll up behind the ball in the middle of a table. I don't feel like that's got any skill element to it at all. And I personally don't like that. In comparison to the other rule sets, blackball and international rules, if you're in a position like this, and that's the only safety you have available, you have to play cue ball off of the yellow, off of the cushion, back in behind it. That takes skill. That takes touch and feel. You have to be good with pace control. What else do I dislike about this rule set? Well, this wouldn't happen very often, but let's say hypothetically I broke and I got 3, 4, 5 red balls off the break, and then the yellow sat like this. Like I said, very unlikely, but if this happens and all of your pockets are blocked, it's almost impossible for you to win this frame from this position, and that is just off of a break, where a break is luck involved anyway. So it's super unlucky. You're never going to win from reds from this position, and you can't change color sets. Okay. The other thing that I dislike, which is number 3, is probably the fact that 2 shots carry. I used to like it when I was younger, but now because of the level of pull and the standard, people are finding the game way too easy. So 2 shots carrying is too easy for the higher level players. So those are my likes and dislikes for the Old English rules. Let's move on to blackball rules. Okay, so what are the things that I like and dislike about the blackball rule set? Well, I like almost everything. That's the reason why I play these rules. And that's the reason why I've continued to play them for the last 10, 15 years. Growing up, as I discussed with the old rule set, I was actually quite a defensive player. So these rules kind of forced me to bring out my attacking game, to build my confidence, to improve my shot choice in an attacking way, not to be so negative, to be more confident, to improve my pattern play. All of these things came from blackball rules. So they've also been an extremely important part of my journey, and they've also shaped me into the player that I am today. I love the fact that they're attacking. They've tried making the rules more attacking so that it's better for spectators, so that people can watch it on TV. Nobody wants to sit there anymore and watch a 45-minute frame of pool with tip tap, tip tap. And I love playing those frames, believe me. I love a good half an hour frame. But when you're watching it, I dislike it. Okay. What are the things that I dislike about the blackball rules? Well, I don't really like the fact that you get a free shot. Very similar to the 2 shots carry in the old school rules. I think sometimes it makes it a little bit too easy for the higher level players. Players are so good nowadays with the free shot, but that is more to do with them, and that is credit to them and the fact that they've worked hard and built their knowledge to understand how to take advantage of the free shot rule. The other thing I would probably say is, if I could take anything from another rule set and add it to blackball rules, is if you remember the old world rules, when I used to play world rules, if I broke and the cue ball flew off the table, it was classed as an extreme foul and I would get 2 shots. But if I broke and the cue ball went in off, or it got kicked in off by other balls, technically it's unlucky. It's not actually your fault. So you would only get 1 shot from that visit. I personally think they should bring that into blackball rules. Scrap the free shot situation. You should only get 2 shots if you have an extreme foul, and then you should only get 1 visit if your opponent fouls and gets kicked in off. Other than that, I love blackball rules. Let's move on. Okay, so what are the things that I like and dislike about international rules? Well, there's not a lot that I would change, very similar to the blackball rules. Maybe only one thing I would change, and that would be due to personal preference. I think the international rules are brilliant. I think it's helping take our game forward, and that's what we needed. It needed to become more of a spectator sport. If we stuck with the old rule set and we had to watch tip-tap frames all the time, I don't think it would be anywhere near where it is today in regards to taking this game forward. I don't think we would have gotten to BT Sport. I don't think we would be streaming games all the time. I don't think we would have paid subscriptions, because people wouldn't be interested in watching those games. People that play these attacking rule sets will still enjoy the odd tactical frame, the odd tip tap, because it's a way of testing their brain, playing chess on the table against another brain. But in general, I don't think it would have done much for our game moving forward. What do I dislike about it? Well, it's not really a dislike, but let's just say, for example, you break. In blackball rules, I can do almost anything. I can pot a yellow, I can pot a red, I can pot a yellow onto a red, I can pot a red onto a yellow and take that color set and go from there. In international rules, you can't do that. So in this situation, reds are really nice down the bottom. There's a potential finish on. With yellows, I only have 1 difficult pot, and all of these are really tricky. So there's probably not a finish on yellows. Whereas reds, if I was on international rules, I cannot play yellow onto red and then travel down table and take the red as my color set. That is illegal. And yeah, it's not really a dislike, but I personally would bring that back in, and I wouldn't have that in the international rules. Okay, so I've compared all 3 rule sets. If there is anything that I've missed, please drop me a comment below and let me know a rule set that I might have missed. Apart from that, hope you enjoyed the video. Cheers, guys.